Roger had Shanks. Whitebeard had Ace. And as crazy as it sounds, there is one young child in the world of One Piece that we are seeing today who has all the makings of following in Luffy's footsteps. It seems like Bonney, of all people, is being written like a miniature Luffy. Now, to be clear, I am not saying that Bonney is going to be the next Pirate King, or the next Joy Boy after Luffy, or anything like that. The story of One Piece is written in a very structured manner. All of the lore and conflict has been building towards one singular climax that will bring everything to a close. The dawn of the world only needs to be brought one time, and Luffy is the one to do it. I don't know if there needs to be another Pirate King after Luffy, or if there will even be a pirate era after this one. Rather, there may be an entirely new, unprecedented age. However, I'm saying that if there is any young figure in the One Piece world today who has the makings of following in Luffy's footsteps, to grow up to be a similar figure at the very least, much in the same way that Shanks was to Roger, if there is anyone who could be a fitting apprentice to Luffy, it is Bonney. Because from everything that we know about Bonney's character and the direction that it has been shaping in so far, it seems as though Oda may be developing her to be an apprentice on the ship of the Pirate King, and someone who may grow up as a successor of sorts to Luffy in the future. Let me break it down. But first, did you know which country gets access to the best movies and TV shows for free on Netflix? The answer is actually South Korea. That's right, South Korea's Netflix catalog has the most Academy Award-winning movies and Emmy Award-winning TV shows. In fact, the US really doesn't have a lot to watch for free on Netflix. But you can immediately get access to all the actually great movies and shows on Netflix with Surfshark VPN, the sponsor for this video. A VPN lets you just switch your location to anywhere that you want in the world, so if there's a movie or a TV show that you want to watch for free but it's not available on any streaming services in your country, guess what? It's probably available in some other country. All you have to do is swap your location, and just like that, you can watch it. I know that I used to get pretty annoyed that movies that I wanted to watch aren't on Netflix or on Amazon or on Hulu in the United States, but now that's almost never a problem because I can always just swap to another country and get access anyway. And the best part is that Surfshark doesn't just let you change locations, all ads and all malware are blocked for me as well. Not to mention, with Surfshark VPN, my data is encrypted. That means that I am essentially completely invisible online, so no one can get my data, no one can track what I'm doing, even Surfshark itself does not know what I'm doing online. So basically, I can travel anywhere and I can also be completely invisible online while using it. And the best part is you can get a huge Surfshark deal right now. Just enter promo code MORGE to get up to 6 additional months for free at surfshark.deal/morge. Just hit the link in the description below. So that aside, the simplest and clearest connection between young Bonney and Luffy can be seen in how Bonney imagines herself in the future. Bonney has grown up being fed this dream of the hero Nika, the warrior of liberation who will one day free the world. Bonney herself wishes to be like this Nika, meaning that even if she doesn't know it just yet, Luffy is literally the figure that she has been looking up to and dreaming of all this time. Luffy is already Bonney's idol. She is only just about to find that out. The reality is that the figure that Luffy is the figure that Bonney aims to be like, so the idea of wanting to follow in Luffy's footsteps is already there. But the actual character similarities are rather sharp as well. Bonney is extraordinarily stubborn and strong-willed for a child, much like Luffy was himself. As children, they both desperately strove to go out to sea and go on adventures. They had that same free-spirited drive and desire to break free. And most notably, their trademark trait is their huge appetite, with both of them notorious for eating huge amounts of food. Bonney is even literally known by her epithet, Big Eater Bonney. Bonney is a remarkably Luffy-like young character. You can see the same spirit, the same quirky traits, and most importantly, Bonney unknowingly emulating Luffy already, hoping to one day be exactly like him. Sure, Bonney isn't exactly like Luffy, she's not a lovable idiot the way that Luffy is. In fact, Bonney is ridiculously, absurdly smart for a 12-year-old, but obviously an apprentice figure to Luffy wouldn't need to be exactly like him, that would be rather forced. It's the same way that Shanks isn't exactly like Roger, but it's the most important key traits that you see mirrored between the two. So what exactly am I saying is the role of Bonney in the story? Not to be the next Pirate King, of course, since again, who knows if that will even be a thing in the future. However, I do believe it is highly possible that Oda is writing her into the story potentially as a crewmate. But not just any crewmate. I think she's getting such a late inclusion in the final saga, precisely because it's a time for the end of the old era and the beginning of a new one. This is the last great war of the Great Age of Pirates, and after this, something new will be born. Right now we are seeing Luffy at near the height of his powers, as a Yonko, as a great pirate, coming into his own as Nika, the liberator of the world. If Oda wanted to write in a sort of apprentice or inheritor of Luffy's will, now would be the perfect time. A young figure joining the Pirate King's crew at the end of their journey to be a small part of helping them liberate the world, and then carrying their spirit on into the next stage where it would be time for a new generation. Essentially, this is a transition point. Bonney joining here for Luffy's final adventure could be a nice passing of the torch in some way. And as for any of you doubting Bonney's potential, well, where do I even begin? First, consider how much Bonney's strength as a small child has been highlighted. She is an absolute monster, one of the highest potential children we have ever seen in One Piece. Even without her devil fruit, Bonney is a beast, and with it she's already at the age of 9, capable of taking out elite Cypher Pole agents in a single hit. But most importantly, the logical reason for Bonney being such a strong character, even as a child, is her absurdly strong will. Remember, willpower matters above all else in One Piece. It reflects the potential of your haki, the potential of how far you can go in this world. And Bonney's willpower is absolutely out of this world. Consider everything we've seen of this character so far, and put it in the context of understanding that this is literally a little kid who has been doing all of this. As a child, setting out to sea in rebellion against the world government, being chased as a pirate captain across the Grand Line at only 9 years old, going to the greatest war the pirate world has ever seen, being captured and held helpless by a Yonko crew as a 10-year-old girl and still defiantly fighting back and refusing to submit, as a 12-year-old girl traveling to Marijua, the home of the Celestial Dragons, by herself, running a solo infiltration mission in the most dangerous place on the entire planet, something the Revolutionary Army itself took decades of planning to do, and most impressive of all, in the face of a literal demon, a monster straight out of hell, the highest authority on the planet, a Gorosei in its satanic form, without a single moment of hesitation before any of the adults, before any of the Pirate King's crew members standing around took action. It was little 12-year-old Bonney who charged in to certain death and tried to kill the devil herself. I'm not gonna lie, objectively there is not a single child in the history of One Piece, be that Ace, Luffy, Zoro, Sabo, whoever, who holds a candle to what Bonney has displayed in courage and boldness so far. Knowing what we know now, Bonney may be the single most impressive kid we have ever seen in the story. I'm not talking in pure strength, since sure, someone like Big Mom is just a born physical freak who could naturally toss giants around, but I'm talking about pure spirit and courage. It is more impressive that Bonney has done everything that she has done, taken all of the risks that she has, braved all the dangers that she has, shown the defiance that she has, despite not being an invincible freak of nature like Big Mom. Bonney could have died at every single turn of her journey, and yet she still does insane things like rushing into certain death against a monster straight out of a nightmare, while all these great adult warriors stand around stunned. You cannot possibly overstate the sheer strength of spirit that Bonney has displayed, starting from literally 9 years old. I would not be surprised in the slightest if Bonney turned out to be a Conqueror's Haki user. I mean, even from her very youngest days, she was a force of will to be reckoned with. So if you think that Bonney would be somehow unworthy to be an apprentice to the Pirate King, if she is somehow unworthy to be the Shanks to Luffy's Roger, then good lord, there is not a single child character in the history of One Piece that would be worthy in your mind then, considering Kid Bonney is already leaps and bounds more impressive than Kid Luffy himself. And no, if you're getting all upset, I'm not saying that Bonney is going to one day be stronger than Luffy, or that she's going to be the strongest character ever. or any of that. This is not about power scaling, this is purely pointing out that Oda is clearly going out of his way to really impress upon us just how exceptionally strong-willed of a child this is. To have set off from a little island in the South Blue and then through the vast ocean fought and clawed her way through trial after trial, often completely adrift on her own, persevering through near-death scenarios, to make it all the way to the heart of the New World and never once backing down even in the face of Satan itself. I strongly feel that Oda is putting in a lot of work to make it clear that this character is strong-willed and special precisely because this is the final character that is being written in to be an apprentice or protege of sorts to Luffy. I also feel that's why Oda has written in so many parallels between these two characters' personalities, traits, and stories. And if you're enjoying this video so far, then make sure to subscribe for more videos like this every week. And we just dropped our very own One Piece inspired shirts and crew necks, so make sure to grab yours while supplies last. And if you or someone you know loves doing puzzles, we've got a fantastic One Piece puzzle with all the major characters as the perfect gift for the holidays. Just go to the Mord store to get yours, link in the description below. Now, I'm sure most of us can't really imagine Luffy actually sitting down with a kid to train them, but that's not what I mean either. Again, I'm simply suggesting a young kid with similar makings and potential to Luffy joining the ship and getting to watch Luffy and learn from being in his presence. Again, much like Shanks and Roger. And the most important point is that at this moment in time, it feels like that is the most organic direction for Bonney and her character. Consider that right now, Bonney has fairly decisively checked off all the meaningful boxes that we expect of a Straw Hat. She has a very tragic and very developed backstory. She has a clear potential role on the crew as cabin girl or apprentice. Her dream perfectly aligns with this role, which is to grow up to be like Nika, aka the captain of the very ship that she would be an apprentice on. And most importantly, she has a strong developing dynamic with Luffy. This is something that felt like it was missing for many recent Straw Hat candidates like Yamato and Carrot, who had very limited or superficial screen time with Luffy. But with Bonney, most of Egghead Island involved her and Luffy interacting. And most importantly, it seems that we are leading to a moment where she will get to see Luffy become the very thing that she's always dreamed of, the sun god Nika, to liberate her from her oppressor. There could literally not be any more powerful a moment than that to bond Bonney to Luffy. The culmination of all her faith and beliefs coming together in one climactic moment of seeing Luffy as Nika defeating Saturn, wherein Bonney can realize that Luffy was the person she was believing in all along. But most importantly, narratively, there is no other apparent direction for Bonney at this moment, other than on board the Straw Hat's ship. Bonney has stabbed a celestial dragon, and not just any celestial dragon, Gorosei Saturn himself. Bonney is already a notorious pirate, but from here on, she will forever be an absolutely unforgivable criminal in the eyes of the world government. There will not be anywhere that is safe for her now. It's not like she can ever return to Sorbet Kingdom. Bonney is a criminal. She has no home to go to. She has no family either. Her only parent, Kuma, is living out his final moments as we speak. As it turns out, Bonney never really had a real crew either. These were more so her makeshift temporary caretakers to help get her away from Sorbet Kingdom. Bonney, at this point in time, is just a lost little girl in a vast, terrifying world. One that is about to become even more dangerous for her than ever, as she will be hunted down even more aggressively after the Egghead incident. At the very least, Bonney is likely going to have to escape on the Straw Hat's ship. And the simple question is, what then? Do they allow her to stay? They can't really conveniently head to some friendly allies island to drop her off, considering the Straw Hats themselves are a target of the Marines. So do they take her to Elbaf? Do they leave her at Elbaf? Would they even feel like they need to get rid of her if she asks to stay, as she very likely would once she realizes that her idol, Nika, is right here on the Straw Hat's ship? So first I ask you, what can really happen for Bonney here that doesn't involve her joining on board the Straw Hat's ship? I'm not saying I want it to happen. I personally think we have too many Straw Hats as is, but I also think it seems more likely than not at this point. And the second question I ask is, what else is the purpose of Bonney in the story? Why was she written into the series and given such tremendous focus and such a significant dramatic character storyline? Why write this whole tragedy surrounding Kuma and his daughter, the entire narrative of a father giving up his mind, his body, his will, and so on, and this daughter taking to the seas, becoming a notorious pirate, traversing the New World, challenging the Gorosei, all of it coming together here where they can both meet Nika. If it's just for drama and pulling at our heartstrings, that's one thing, but Bonney's story as a supernova and her adventures and her dream of Nika and all of it coming to a head upon meeting the Straw Hats seems more complex than it needed to be. It feels more so like her story is just now hitting a pivotal crossroads rather than concluding here. Much like the crossroads all the Straw Hats hit when they finally met Luffy, the moment that their past troubles and conflict could be resolved and brought to a close, and a new journey towards their actual dream can begin. So what else really fits for Bonney from here on beyond becoming an apprentice on the Straw Hats ship, and more importantly, a potential spiritual successor to Luffy in some ways? See, I've always wondered, if Luffy were to ever pass the Straw Hat down at the end of the story to someone else, who would it be? Momonosuke? This random little kid at Makino's bar? I don't know, it's always felt like it was kind of forcing it. But all of a sudden, it finally feels like a genuine, natural successor may have appeared. One who is genuinely worthy of wearing that straw hat in the next generation. So let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video then definitely like and subscribe. And you can get my extended thoughts on whether we are getting any more crew members after this on my weekly podcast by supporting me on Patreon. Link in the description below. And don't forget to get your huge Surfshark deal right now. Just enter promo code MORGE to get up to 6 additional months for free at surfshark.deal/morge. Just hit the link in the description below.